In the 2013 year, the largest manhunt in the history of the United States took place in California. More than 2,000 police officers were involved in the search for a single suspect. However, despite the fact that the wanted man was alone, it was he who openly declared war on the Los Angeles police throughout the country, and any policeman was scared of confronting him. As for ordinary Americans, many of them, despite the fact that the wanted man was a criminal in the eyes of the police, considered him a national hero. Christopher Dorner was born in New Jersey on the 4th of July, 1979. As a child, his family moved to the suburbs of Los Angeles, California, where Christopher spent his entire youth. He was the only black guy in the class, which is why he was often ridiculed by classmates. However, he never made jokes about his skin color to anyone, and for this reason, even at school, the guy had to fight often. In 1997, Christopher graduated from high school and enrolled at Southern Utah University. During his studies at the university, he made many friends. They described him as a cheerful, smiling guy for whom honesty and justice were the main things in life. Christopher was a very powerful and athletic young man, so it is not surprising that he was quickly invited to the university American football team. In the 2001 year, Christopher graduated from the university with a degree in political science and psychology. After that, he joined the Navy. A year after his enlistment, in the year 2002, Christopher commanded a security unit at Phelan Naval Base, Nevada. Next, he served as part of the Mobile Naval Unit of Underwater Warfare. While serving in the Navy in the 2002 year, an interesting incident occurred with Christopher, which characterizes him well as a person. While on leave, the guy found a bag with donations for a local church. There were almost $8,000 in the bag. Without thinking for a second, Chris handed her over to the nearest police station. This was later written about in one of the Oklahoma newspapers. When asked by journalists why he did this, Christopher replied that his mother had taught him honesty and decency, so he could not do otherwise. During his time in the Army, Christopher received excellent combat training. He mastered many types of firearms, mastered many ways of survival in combat conditions, and also mastered the techniques of hand-to-hand combat. He was so good in these disciplines that he was even awarded a note and shooting ribbon, as well as a badge of distinction for shooting a pistol. In 2000, Christopher Dorner entered the Los Angeles Police Academy. He graduated a year later, after which he was again drafted into the Navy and sent to conduct a combat operation in Bahrain. He spent 6 months there, after which he returned to the police again in 2000. His police service began with an internship under the guidance of a more experienced partner, Sergeant Teresa Evans. On the 28th of July, 2007, Chris Dorner and Teresa Evans went to a call at one of the local hotels. The call was connected with the fact that a certain mentally ill person came into the hotel, who caused anxiety to the staff and guests of the hotel. The police quickly tied up the brawler, who turned out to be Christopher Dorner. The man was really mentally ill. They did not take him to the police station, but simply took him out of the hotel and threatened that they would put him behind bars next time. And it would seem that the incident was over. However, he would later play a fatal role in Christopher's fate. 2 weeks later, Christopher's mentor, Officer Teresa Evans, gave the management a report on his internship. The report stated that he was not yet ready for full-time service and that he needed to improve performance in several areas. The next day, Christopher filed a report on the action of Officer Teresa Evans in the arrest of Christopher Dorner, the man they had taken out of the hotel a few days ago. The report claimed that Evans used excessive force against Hitler. Dorner claimed that Evans hit Dorner twice in the face when he was already handcuffed and lying on the floor. Based on this report, an internal investigation was opened. The commission heard the testimony of several witnesses. Christopher Dorner's father said that when his son returned home on the day of the incident, his face was swollen, and his son claimed that he was hit by a policeman. Then they did not report it to the police, because the damage was minor, and the guy himself could not clearly explain why he was hit. The victim himself, Christopher Gatler, also stated that he was hit by a female officer that day.
Now, I want to ask you about the police contact that you had with at the DoubleTree Hotel. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember being taken into custody by the police?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you remember whether there was a struggle?
Mm-hmm.
And during that struggle, were you kicked in the face?
Yeah.
You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember how many times you were kicked in the face?
Once.
Okay. And do you remember where you were kicked in the face?
Right here.
Okay. And do you remember who kicked you in the face?
An officer.
Do you remember what sex? Was it a male or female?
It was a female.
Later, Gatler began to get confused in his testimony. He was ill with schizophrenia and the commission considered that he could not be a reliable witness in this case. As for other witnesses, 3 hotel employees stated that they did not see any of the policemen striking Christopher Gatler during the arrest. One of the hotel employees also recalled telling Dorner to straighten his tie that day, but photos from the scene showed that Dorner was without a tie on the day of the incident. And this has already compromised the testimony of the hotel employees. However, there could be no compromise in this matter. There were only 2 possible scenarios. Either the commission decides that Teresa Evans hit an already immobilized detainee, which is fraught with a scandal in the press, or they decide that she is innocent, which would mean that Christopher Dorner lied in his report. As a result, the commission stated that Dorner's report was not credible, that he was partly motivated by the fear that his instructor Teresa Evans would give him a bad grade, which could end his career in the police. And on the 4th of September, 2008, 8 months after filing the report, Christopher Dorner was fired from the Los Angeles Police Department. However, Chris decided to go all the way. He filed endless appeals to the courts of various instances with a request to reinstate him in the service, but each time he was refused. He fell into a deep depression, his wife left him, he wanted to return to the army, but even there, because of his police report, Chris's career was also put an end to. And in the year 2013, with honor and gratitude, but against his will, Christopher Dorner was discharged from the army, and it was for Chris that finally broke him.
You are my winning lotto ticket. You're my best friend, you're my girlfriend, and I've had you all this time, so it's about time to cash you in.
What in the world?
Monica, Lisa Kwan.
Yeah, open the box.
On the evening of the 3rd of February, 2013, the bodies of a young couple, 28-year-old Monica Queen and 27-year-old Keith Lawrence, were found in the town of Irvine, California. They were both shot in the head in the parking lot near their home. Monica was the daughter of the former chief of the local police, and now a lawyer, Randall Keene. Her fiancé, Kate Lawrence, was a Department of Public Safety officer. Everything was done very professionally, the killer did not leave any evidence. And the most logical version seemed to be that this murder was revenge from Monica by one of the local gangs for his police past. However, the very next day a document appeared on the internet that put all the dots over, and it was Christopher Dorner's open letter to the American people. It consisted of more than 11,000 words. Here are just some excerpts from it. I know that most of you, of those who know me personally, do not believe what they say about me in the media. You tell yourself that it's not in the nature of the person you knew. I know that the press and the LAPD will insult me. Unfortunately, this is a necessary evil that I don't enjoy. But I have to come to terms with this so that there will be significant changes in the LAPD. The question is, what do you do to clear your name? A name is more than just a noun. This is your life, your legacy, your sacrifices and everything for which you have worked hard every day of your life, as a teenager, young or already mature person. Don't let anyone tarnish it if you are clean before your conscience. On the 8th of July, 2000, I filed a report against Officer Teresa Evans for beating a suspect. While handcuffing the suspect, Christopher Dorner, Evans kicked him twice in the chest and once in the face. The blow to the face left a visible wound on his left cheek. It's disgusting when an officer kicks a mentally ill person. Unfortunately, after reporting this, the supervisory authorities did not do anything. I violated their corporate ethics, and 10 months later, after successfully completing my probation, I was fired from the LAPD. It's clear as day that the department took revenge on me in this way for the report against Evans. In September, during the hearing in my case, a video was played where Christopher Dorner stated that he was really hit by a female officer. This was also confirmed by his father, but they still found me guilty and fired me. During the hearing, the department unsuccessfully tried to label me a bully. They claimed that I had bullied recruit Abraham Shafrans at the academy, when in fact the investigation showed that it was I who stood up for Abraham, at a time when other recruits were singing Nazi songs about the burning of the Jewish ghetto. Knowing that Abraham's father was a survivor of a Nazi concentration camp, how the hell do you dare to say that about me? Why didn't you accuse me of filing a false police report when I stated that Evans kicked Mr. Christopher Dorner? You should have brought a criminal case against me, but you didn't because you knew I was innocent. And the criminal court would have found me innocent and exposed your department for hiding the truth and retaliation. That's why you haven't opened a criminal case. I asked journalists to investigate every place where I lived as a child. Find all the cases when I was accused of being a bully. You won't be able to do that because it just doesn't exist. It's not in my DNA. I have exhausted all available opportunities to regain my honest name. I have used all legitimate judicial efforts as part of the appeal in higher courts. This is my last resort. The Los Angeles police are trying to suppress the truth, and now it will lead to a fatal outcome. The actions of the Los Angeles Police Department cost me my career, which began on the 2nd of July 2005 and ended on the 1st of February 2009. In fact, I lost everything because the LAPD took my name and trampled on it. Captain Philton DeGritis, Justin Eisenberg, Range Queen and Sergeant Anderson, you all knew I was innocent, but decided to end me for the sake of Officer Evans' career. I know about the meeting between all of you where Evans' lawyer, Rika, admitted that she kicked Christopher Dorner. You know, your day has come. Fortunately, I don't have to live every day like most of you. Self-preservation doesn't matter to me anymore. I am not afraid of death, because I died a long time ago, on the 1st of February, 2009 year. The attacks will stop when the department publicly declares the truth about my innocence. I won't accept any currency in exchange for stopping the attacks, and I don't want that. I only need my name. There will be no negotiations. I know all your techniques, tactics and procedures. Any threat assessments you use will be useless. I have nothing to lose, my personal loss means nothing. You cannot defeat a fighter who is not afraid of death. An enemy who accepts death is a loss. You know I've always been the best shooter. Suppressing the truth will lead to deadly consequences for you and your families. I know your daily routine, the daily routine of your loved ones and even your children. Where you work, live, eat and sleep, there will be an element of surprise. Whatever pre-planned reactions you have developed for a scenario like me, put them on the back burner. I will not harm civilians unless it is a mortal threat to me. Also, I don't want to harm ordinary patrolmen, so civilian and patrol officers, if you see my car, then you shouldn't chase it. If you continue to follow me or notify the police of my whereabouts in the hope of receiving a medal for bravery, then know that you will not survive. Your family will receive a medal for bravery posthumously. It will gather dust on the mantelpiece for years, and then one day it will go into a shoe box with other memories of you. Your mother will lose a son or daughter. Your other half will be left alone, but she will find someone else to fill the void, and in the future she will be happy with another person. Your children, if you have them, will call someone else mom, or your children, if you have any, will call someone else mom or dad. Don't be selfish, think about your family before you try to stop me. Also think about whether these liars and scoundrels are worth you dying for them. For ordinary Americans, I want to say, do not think that the police are your friend by default. They'll watch you bleed out, claiming while waiting for an ambulance that it's none of their business. They photograph the bodies of your loved ones from their mobile phones and play the game who has the brightest corpse with officers from other units. This is done not only by 20-year-old brainless youths, but also by adult 50-year-old officers. For my friends listed below, I wanted us to be able to grow old together and spend more time together. When you remember our friendship, think about this and only about this. Don't get hung up on my recent actions. It was a necessary evil that had to be done in order for me to get my name back. Luis Sanchez is my best friend, a naval officer, a pilot, and an even better father and husband. I've never had an older brother, but I've always wanted to have a brother like you. Jason Velado is the greatest friend, naval officer, pilot, great father, husband, doctor, and just the best person. I have always sought to live my life in accordance with the same moral principles as yours. Dominica is lucky that she found a man like you. And you're lucky to have married an undeniably perfect woman. Dominique, take care of this guy. I'm really sorry that because of these fucking courts I missed your wedding and you had to find another best man. James Yusra is my friend. A lawyer, a father, a husband, and the most politically incorrect friend that can be. Your best quality is that you never embellish the truth. Thank you for introducing me to fishing and hunting. We're city guys, we don't get out of here as often as you Alaskans. I love you, brother. Sergeant Kenneth Rockmore, thank you for your interesting training and mentoring. You are the U.S. Marine Corps, never forget that. I thank my friends for an amazing shared experience. It's a little sad that I won't be around to watch and enjoy the third part of the bachelor party in Vegas. What an amazing trilogy. That Phillips, you should not shoot the fourth part, so as not to lose something special that is in this trilogy. Thanks again to all my friends. You guys have all been very important to me. Don't be angry with me, I missed several of your weddings and, unfortunately, some funerals. Some say it's my fault I got fired. I remember being told in a fit of anger that I had to keep my mouth shut. Maybe then none of this would have happened. But I'm not as complex as others, it's not in my nature. I'm not an aspiring rapper, I'm not a gang member, I'm not a drug dealer. I am an American by choice. I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a military man. I am a person who completely lost faith in the system when the system betrayed and slandered him. I have lived a good life, and although I have not been a religious person, I have always adhered to my personal code of ethics. I didn't need the Navy to instill honor in me, it was already in my DNA. But I thank the Navy for strengthening it. Mom told me that sometimes bad things happen to good people. I refuse to accept it. In his address, Christopher Dorner declared war on those people who were involved in his dismissal. His first victim was the daughter of the lawyer who represented him in court, Randall Kuhn. Because in Dorner's opinion, Quinn was in league with the Los Angeles police and deliberately destroyed Dorner's line of defense. At that moment, two big hunts began at once. Christopher Dorner's hunt for the people mentioned in his appeal and the California police hunt for Christopher Dorner. It is not surprising that immediately after the publication of his appeal, Christopher Dorner became the most discussed person in the United States. More than 2,000 police officers were allocated to protect the homes of his alleged victims, as well as to capture him. But the problem was that most of the Los Angeles patrolmen consisted either of recent graduates of police academies, or simply of people who had never encountered such a dangerous person as Christopher Dorner during their service. He was an excellent student of military training, a brilliant shooter and a man who took part in real combat operations. He knew everything, all their methods of work, and could skillfully resist any attempts by the police to establish his whereabouts. It is not surprising that the police were pretty scared by the confrontation with him, so much so that even at the slightest suspicion of his whereabouts they opened fire to kill. This led to the fact that several civilians were injured during the hunt for Christopher Dorner, but the culprit was not Dorner, but the police themselves. So, in particular, on the 7th of February at 5:30 in the morning near the house of one of the alleged victims of Dorner, the police fired more than 50 bullets at a blue Toyota. According to the police, the car matched the description of Dorner's car. But in the car was 71-year-old Emma Hernandez and her daughter, 47-year-old Marja Carranza. Every morning, women delivered newspapers in the area. The police referred to the fact that the car was moving with the lights off. Both women survived, but received some injuries. They explained that they did not turn on the headlights in the morning so as not to wake anyone up with a bright light. Later, the Los Angeles City Administration had to pay compensation to the injured women in the amount of $4 million. Surely this was enough to never deliver newspapers again. Half an hour after the incident, the police rammed another car and also opened fire on it. According to them, he also fit the description of Dorner's pickup truck. But as it turned out, the car was a completely different brand and even a different color. And there was a white man at the wheel, who was also not injured during the shelling. Later, T-shirts with the inscription ironic over the paranoia of the police began to be sold on the internet. "I'm not Christopher Dorner, please don't shoot me." The fear of the police was quite logical, because by this time Christopher Dorner had managed to commit another murder. On the 7th of February, at about 1:30 in the morning, 2 policemen were sent to protect one of the officers mentioned in Dorner's letter. They were stopped by a civilian named Lee McDaniel, who reported seeing a man who looked like Dorner at a nearby gas station. The police went to the gas station and not far from it they actually found a pickup truck similar in description to Dorner's car. They were following right behind him when all of a sudden the pickup truck stopped. The driver's door of the car opened and Dorner fired several shots at the patrol car, wounding both policemen. They both survived, but could no longer continue the pursuit. About 25 minutes after that, in a neighboring area of the city, another patrol car spotted a car similar to Dorner's pickup truck, but they were less lucky than their colleagues. During the shootout, Dorner hit Officer Michael Ukraine in the head, and also seriously wounded intern Andrew Takas. He did not finish off the trainee and fled the scene. The taxi driver, who witnessed the shooting, rushed to help the police. The best thing he could do in this situation was to bring a police radio to the mouth of the immobilized Andrew Kais so that he would inform the dispatcher about what had happened. The ambulance arrived at the scene quickly. Andrew Takas was taken to the hospital. He underwent a serious operation, but still survived. His mentor Michael Crane died right at the scene. He, as Dorner wrote in his open letter, received a medal for bravery, but received it posthumously. His wife lost her husband, and the children lost their father. Dorner himself skillfully escaped from the scene, and despite the fact that all the police in the city were looking for him, he seemed to disappear into thin air. Only 7 hours later, his pickup truck was found burned 120 kilometers from Los Angeles. The police assumed that he had disappeared into the highlands. But every step had to be taken with extreme caution, because Dorner could wait for police officers with a sniper rifle absolutely anywhere. 2 days after that, on February 9, the authorities announced that they intended to review the case that led to Dorner's dismissal. Already on the 5th day after Dorner published his appeal, the highest monetary reward in the history of California, $1 million, was announced for any information that would lead to his capture. It was the largest manhunt in U.S. history. Several thousand police officers were involved in the search. The authorities used round-the-clock surveillance of the region from the air, but still Dorner managed to successfully hide. In many ways, this was helped by the sudden snowfall, which significantly worsened visibility, but it created problems not only for the police, but also for Dorner himself, since in such weather he clearly needed somewhere to hide. The police assumed that he could be hiding in one of the hundreds of mountain huts located in this residential area. However, when checking each of them, any patrolman knocking on the door realized that it could cost him his life. Only 5 days later, after Dorner's burned-out car was found, the police managed to get on his trail. And then, it happened only because Dorner, as promised, did not take the lives of ordinary civilians.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Right outside Dorner. He tied us up. He had pillowcases over our heads, and
How long ago did he tie you up?
it was like 15 minutes to 30 minutes.
Okay, so this all happened today?
Yeah, we're still tied up.
You guys were tied up?
Yeah, we're tied up still.
On February 12, the San Bernardino Police Department received a phone call. The caller was a certain Karen Reynolds. She said that Dorner broke into their hut, tied her and her husband up, took their car and drove away. He asked them not to call the police. However, immediately after Dorner left their house, Karen managed to free herself, and she immediately informed the police from where and what car Dorner was driving. He could have killed them both and then the police still wouldn't know where he was. But Chris remained true to his principles and did not harm Karen and her husband. Soon the stolen car was found smashed, after which another person contacted the San Bernardino police. According to the man, he was sitting in a pickup truck, standing on the side of the road. His dog was in the pickup truck with him. Suddenly the car door opened and he saw Christopher Dorner with a gun in his hands. Dorner told him, "I don't want to hurt you, but I need your car, so take the dog and just leave." This time, the police managed to get on Dorner's tail. One of the helicopters spotted a stolen pickup truck near the hut. It was assumed that Dorner had barricaded himself in the hut. Alex Collins and Jeremiah McKay were the first to arrive there. Dorner didn't give them a chance by shooting both of them. Soon all the main forces of the police and special forces were thrown to the hut, but Dorner had no way back. He was surrounded, the area within a radius of 5 kilometers was completely cordoned off, but for Dorner it was no longer important. At first, the police tried to pull him out using tear gas and demanding over the loudspeaker that he surrender. When Dorner did not respond, the police, using an excavator, demolished part of the hut. After that, incendiary cartridges were fired into the rest of the hut, which led to the fire of the hut. The police offered Dorner to surrender, but he made a different choice, and already being in a hut on fire, Christopher fired his last shot. The fire continued until the evening, and only the next day the police reported that human remains were found in the burned hut. The medical examiners confirmed that they belonged to Christopher Dorner. The cause of death was a bullet that Dorner fired into his head. After these events, the opinion of society was divided into two camps. Some believed that Dorner was an ordinary criminal and that he deserved to die. Others, on the contrary, considered Dorner a folk hero who fought for his honor. In their opinion, he opened the eyes of society to the deceitfulness of the police. In retaliation, the police did not even try to take him alive and deliberately burned him alive. In any case, whoever Christopher Dorner is for you, a righteous avenger or just a punisher, his story can hardly leave you indifferent.